Good evening, everyone. Today I'm pre-recording this session. We're not going to do it live because it's just easier for my schedule today to record and put up this coaching session. We're going to talk about 5 to 7 gut health issues that children with autism deal with, and also suggest some DIY solutions for parents who are seeking help to manage these conditions without using a lot of medications, and then also when is it appropriate to seek the help of a functional medicine doctor like myself? So without further ado, let's jump right in. We're going to start by talking about the gut-brain connection in autism. This applies to any disorder in reality because the gut and the brain are always talking to each other no matter what the disorder. But in this case, we're focusing on autism. So the gut and the brain communicate constantly through this gut-brain axis through the vagus nerve. You may have heard of that. And about 70 to 80% of the immune system is sitting in the gut lining, just below the gut lining. And any gut issues that interrupt the gut lining will cause inflammation and change the child's behavior because there's constant communication, as I'm explaining, between the gut and the brain. Children with autism often experience digestive issues more than neurotypical peers, issues like constipation, leaky gut, SIBO, infections, autoimmune situations. So it's really important that as a parent, you keep a food and mood journal. Also, reduce offering processed foods as much as possible and eat wholesome foods as much as possible. This will help reduce the stressors on the gut lining. Leaky gut is something that happens to many, many people, not just children with autism. But when it does happen, what's going on is that there's actual seepage between the cell lining, and there's a breakthrough that allows the germs or food particles that are not supposed to cross that lining in large quantities, triggering both symptoms of diarrhea, constipation, eczema, mood swings, and food sensitivity. And one way to help seal the gut lining and heal the structure of these cells is to feed your child some bone broth with collagen. You can make, big pot of bone broth over the weekend and then use small amounts as you're cooking your meals every day or making soups with it, sauces with it, or just drinking the bone broth on its own. You want to remove allergenic foods such as gluten, which is in grains, dairy, and other processed sugars. You want to add fermented foods if the child doesn't have a histamine issue. And healthy fats are very critical. So here we're actually looking at a better picture of the leaky gut. It's just showing the breakthrough between the cell junctions and how different food particles, viruses, bacteria, parasites can actually cross the lining of the gut and penetrate into the bloodstream, and then beyond that into the immune system. As you can see, too much of the bad bacteria and not enough of the good bacteria create an environment that we call dysbiosis in the microbiome. Some signs of these germs are gas and bloating, diarrhea, constipation, and also hyperactivity after meals. Some solutions that you can implement at home is introduce probiotics. We mentioned sauerkraut, kimchi, and yogurt. I would think with children, they would prefer the yogurt, but again, you want to make it dairy-free yogurt, or you want to use probiotics that don't have dairy in them if at all possible. Reduce sugar and processed foods and eat prebiotic-rich foods. So these are foods that have a lot of fiber that the healthy bacteria in our gut can break down and can make into good fats for our bodies and vitamins and so on. So you want to include those prebiotic-rich foods as much as possible in the diet. We can see in children, oftentimes with autism, they have an overgrowth of candida and fungal issues. We can see it on the chest. Sometimes we see it in the mouth, like thrush in this child that you see in the picture here. And yeast can cause a very myriad of things, right? Like it can trigger laughter, inappropriate behavior, sleepless nights, and insomnia. It can cause diarrhea. It can cause constipation. It can cause mood swings. It can cause brain fog and irritability and bloating. So symptoms from yeast can be all over the place, and you can't really pinpoint that it's yeast unless you test and you see the thrush on the mouth, or you test and you see that there's yeast on the functional testing. So one way to diminish the overgrowth of candida and fungi is to reduce sugar intake. Use things like monk fruit or stevia or whole fruit, and introduce natural antifungals like coconut oil, garlic, and oregano oil in the diet. Constipation and poor motility is a common problem with children with autism. It's kind of really the leading problem I see children with who have autism. They have very painful stools, infrequent, they withhold, go into the bathroom, they cross their legs and stand in the corner and hide. They often cry, they're very irritable. You can see that they're bloated, and really constipation that's chronic can lead to other problems like encopresis and bedwetting. So we do have to help these children resolve this chronic issue. Things you can do at home are add magnesium, add high fiber foods like vegetables, flaxseed, chia seed, and give them plenty of water because you need to move those boulders out of the way. Food sensitivity and inflammation is also a leading trigger for issues in the gut with children who have autism or ADHD or other mental health problems. We've already mentioned dairy. So the protein in dairy, like casein, is a leading allergen. So is gluten, which is a protein in grain, soy, artificial colors, preservatives. Symptoms you can see include hyperactivity, rashes, digestive pain, dark circles under the eyes. You want to try a 2-week elimination diet. So at least remove the foods you suspect, and also remove dairy and gluten and soy, and try for a few weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, none of this to cross their lips, and see if you notice any improvement. Keep a very detailed food and mood journal and track your efforts, because if you don't measure it, you won't know, right? If you forget to measure, you won't notice the improvement. So the more you focus on this, the better you're going to measure it, and the better you're going to actually notice when there's improvement in the child's behavior and the child's symptoms. Also, read labels on packages. You may buy a salad dressing or cereal or any type of packaged food, and if you're not reading the labels, you won't notice that it'll say contains milk or soy or nuts or whatever it might contain. That could be a trigger for your child. Let's talk a little bit about histamine intolerance and mast cell activation. This is actually a very convoluted, complicated thing to isolate. But foods that trigger histamine are things like aged cheeses, meats and fish, certain fruits and vegetables. And there are too many to mention here, but you can definitely look up on Google low histamine versus a high histamine food list and weed out some of the foods that may be causing a large histamine dump in your child when they eat it, because this can cause things like flushing, abdominal pain, diarrhea. So sometimes we confuse it with allergy, but you don't have to have an allergy. This is just the molecule of histamine overloading the child's system. So you want to swap out high histamine foods and bring in fresh alternatives. You may also want to use enzymes that support the breakdown of histamine, and I've listed some of those ingredients here for you. So when should you see a functional medicine doctor? If you've tried all these things that we've talked about today, and the gut issues are persisting, and your child is miserable, and you've sort of scratched your head, not knowing where else to go, it's probably time to seek help. You don't have to do this alone. We're trained professionals to help figure out, what is causing the symptoms that your child is experiencing. And with testing and precision way of looking at the body, it's really helpful to figure out what to do and what to remove, what to add, what's needed, how to repair the gut, all these things that you are looking for, but may be difficult for you to do on your own. So don't try to go it alone the whole way. You can start the process, of course. That's where I'm educating you here. But there are moments in your life and in your child's life where you really need to seek a professional to get the rest of the way home. So, with that, even making small changes in your lifestyle, in your diet, can make a huge impact on your child. I've seen kids just remove dairy from their diet and their whole demeanor, their sleep, so much improves their temperament. So, small changes like removing gluten, dairy, and soy could be all that you need to do to help with the child's gut healing. But if you want to take a deep dive with someone like myself, then go to this website that's on the slide here, cedarstructuralmedicine.com/DC-LP. Book your consultation call with me. I promise I will over deliver. We can spend 15, 20 minutes discussing your child's case, and then I'll strategize with you on what's the best next step to meet your family's needs. So, with that, I hope you enjoyed this evening the presentation. I'm going to stop share. And please comment your questions below. I will check and respond to them as needed. And remember to DM me if you have any urgent questions, but I'm here to help support you as parents in the group. And if you're on social media elsewhere and you've enjoyed this presentation as well, send me a message and let's connect. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.